Hello, everyone. So we're ready to start our usual exercise. As always, and as you might remember, you need to find a quiet and comfortable place where you can sit and take your time and work on the exercise that we're going to do today without distractions. Then you would need also a piece of paper, a notebook, and markers or pencils. They're the same, but just something to write with. Today, the exercise that we are going to do is called MIPS plus questions. Imagine. And that's a suggestion. That's what also the title really beautifully explains what we're going to do. Because what we're going to do is to try to create a myth starting from an abstract concept or an abstract idea. So these are the instructions on how to do the exercise. And I'm going to explain every step to you because they're very general and probably you don't understand what you're supposed to do by looking at that. So as I told you, the point is to translate an abstract idea into a myth. The abstract idea that we can pick, I'm going to pick one just to give you an example, is for instance the idea of justice. So we pick the abstract idea of justice. That's the first step. Second step, we ask ourselves a question. It can be whatever question about the abstract idea, of course. I can ask myself, what is justice? Or are human beings really just? Or do they prefer being unjust? That's probably the question that I'm going to pick. I'm going to anticipate that to you. So the abstract idea that we are going to transform into a myth is the idea of a myth. And the question is going to be, do human beings prefer justice or injustice? Are they really just or are they unjust? After we have picked the abstract idea and the question, that we need to move on to pick a character and a magical object that can help this character to bring the myth together and to bring it into a scene. And as you can see here, I'm not a very good artist, you can tell, but I've picked a random person. We can call her Andrea. That's, yeah, a good name. I like it, Andrea. And the magical object that she has is a mantle of invisibility. So basically, Andrea has the power of being invisible through the magical object. She acquires this power through the magical object. So we have both, okay? Character and magical object. Now we need to come up with a story. So we need to answer the question that we asked through a story. And our question, if you remember, was about human beings being just or unjust, preferring actually to be just or unjust. And what story can we come up with? Well, invisibility is a power, and when I am invisible, no one sees what I do in the moment that I'm doing it. So we can come up with a story in which Andrea is received this magical object by a god, or for instance, by a genius who decides to give her this special present. And at the beginning, she is skeptical. She doesn't want to use it. She doesn't care. But let's say that something bad happens to her and she decides to wear this mantle and she goes around and she realizes that no one sees her, that really no one sees her. And at the beginning, she just enjoys walking around with the mantle. But after a while wearing this mantle, she begins to steal some objects. She begins to, for instance, steal an apple from the supermarket, or a peach, or a pear. And after a while of stealing things, she decides to go to the restaurant, enjoying a nice dinner, and then putting on the mantle and going away without paying. So you see here that the mantle, which gives her the power of invisibility, provokes in Andrea a very immoral behavior, an immoral behavior that pushes her to steal and to enjoy some things without paying for them. That's the story. Okay, last part is the moral lesson. The moral lesson in the end, sorry, we need to add the end and the moral lesson, because we can add that at a certain point Andrea realizes that she is doing something wrong. She starts to realize that well, I'm stealing, I'm behaving in a way that is considered immoral. Should I do this, or should I continue to do this, or should I get rid of the magical object, which is making me do things that I should not do? That's the end, the struggle that she feels because of the magical object. And then we have the moral lesson. What is the moral lesson? The moral lesson is that behaving justly and being just, it's something that requires a lot of effort, a lot of courage, a lot of fatigue, especially in those cases in which we can be invisible, in those cases in which no one can identify us as responsible for that action. And therefore, being just, it's something that we have to practice every day. We are not just, we have to become just in every single situation. That's the moral of the whole story, of the whole myth that we have created. So the exercise for you is to follow these 5 steps, 5 or 6 if we add the ending, and to create your own myth. I want to suggest to you, I'm going to give you a little hint and advice to decide the abstract idea, of course, and to connect it with some superpowers that we see in the Avengers movie, for instance, but all of the superhero movies that we see all of the time on television or in the theaters. For instance, you can pick the superpower of force, of richness, of being able to achieve all of the desire, or like satisfy all of the desires that we have, and so on and so forth. So if you pick the idea and connect it with a superpower, it will become easier to create the whole story. Okay, so I am done explaining to you the exercise. I hope you find the time and the place to complete it, and good luck for the exercise, for completing the exercise at home. Thank you.